All right, I'm gonna record this for you guys for those that have slow Wi-Fi, so you can see it back later. All right, so as we said before, anything raised to the 0 power, variables, numbers, letters, names, anything raised to 0 power is 1. Negative exponents are a little different. Okay, negative exponent, the rule here is an exponent can never stay negative. You have to make it positive, and by making it positive, you flip it, or you turn it into the opposite that it was. All right, so I'm gonna work with x to the negative first power. All right, so right here I have x raised to the negative first power. So obviously, whenever you have a number, a whole number, a variable, anything, it's always under what number? For example, 2 is a whole number. It's always under the number 1, okay? The same thing for variables. It's going to be under the number 1, all right? So the first sign that I said here is an exponent can never stay negative. You have to make it positive and flip it. So by making it positive, this just needs to be moved to the opposite location. So instead of it being there, it is now going to be x raised to the first power is in the denominator. And what's left on top is whenever something's empty, you leave the 1 there. Okay? And that's your answer for number 1. So I'm going to go back into my 0 negatives slide. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, so you guys can make it bigger too if you'd like. And I'm going to type in 1, and I'm going to put enter. I'm going to put x.
Are we supposed to do that?
Yes, you are.
Oh, do I have my own?
Yes, you do. It's in your Google Classroom. Under classwork, you're going to see Saeed 0 negative exponents. Okay? And it's going to take you to this page. All right? So again, like I said, you put a 1, an x. To make a exponent, you're going to go to, make sure your text box is clicked on. You're going to go to Format, Text, and right here it says Superscript. That is what you're going to click on. When you click on it, it gives you the exponent sign. So again,
what's the 0?
I'm sorry?
What's that 0?
What 0?
On the left. Why
This
does it say 0? Yeah.
Okay, so that's the 0 power. So anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. So that's why x to the 0 power is 1. 108,340 raised to the 0 power is 1. M raised to the 0 power is 1. 2 raised to the 0 power is also 1. It could be Saeed raised to the 0 power. Robert raised to the 0 power. The answer is 1. Okay? All right, so over here, I want to make it into a fraction, and the only way you can do that is by spacing it out like that. You're going to go to line right here. Click line, and you're going to unfortunately have to draw it. So right here. I'm going to make mine a little bit darker. I want it in black. I'm going to put it at 3. So that way it's a nice line like that. Anybody have any questions on how I just did this? No. Okay, I'm going to move on. So our next one that we're going over is 4 raised to the negative first power. Okay? So next one we have is 4 raised to the negative first power. All right, so again, like I said before, any number, if it's not in a fraction, you're going to put it over 1. And you cannot have a negative exponent. You need to make it positive. So this whole thing right here is attached to negative exponent. To make it positive, you have to move it in the opposite direction. So your answer is 1, and now it's positive. Automatically, by moving it, you make it positive. Okay? And again, 1 to the 4th power. Wait, 4 to the first power is equal to 4. You can just leave it like that. Guys, if it doesn't tell you to simplify, you can leave it like this. But if it does tell you to simplify, this has to be your answer, okay? So again, I'm a lazy person, so I'm going to click on this. I'm going to press Control-C because that means copy. I'm going to click on this box, click Control-V, and I'm going to drag this down. And I know my answer is 1 over 4 to the first power. So I'm just going to erase my x, put a 4 there. I'm going to click on this line that I made for my fraction. I'm sorry?
How do I get the small one?
I'll show you right now. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put this here. All right, so if you are struggling like Robert, you have to make sure you click on a text box first. Click Format, Text, and go to Superscript, and it will give you the exponent, okay? right, I'm moving on to the next one. 2x to the negative 6 power. So now I have 2x raised to the negative 6 power. So for this one, it's a tricky one. It looks like the 2 is also raised to the negative 6, but it's not. The only thing that's raised to the negative 6 power is the x right here. So again, like I told you before, if it's not in a fraction, you put it over 1. And you need to make that exponent positive. So to make it positive, you're moving it down here, okay? And like I said before, the 2 had nothing to do with the negative sign, so it's going to stay up here. It does not move. The only thing that needed to move was your x. So when you moved it, your exponent became positive, and that's your answer, okay? Obviously, I didn't put it as 1x to the 6th power because it's pretty redundant. It means the same thing. Do you guys have any questions on how I got this? You guys are like somewhat ish there. All right, I'm going to put this in our interactive notebook. Again, I am lazy, so I'm going to copy this again. Control C, Control V. I'm going to drag this whole thing down, and I'm just going to change my numbers. So instead of 2 goes here, positive 6 goes here. I'm going to copy this bar right here. Oops, that wasn't it. Control C, Control V, and drag it in between them. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay. All right, next is x to the negative 5th and y to the positive 6th. So I got x to the negative 5th power and y to the positive 6th power. So again, I'm going to make it equal to a fraction. Which one am I going to have to change? My negative 5th or my positive 6th? Again.
Negative 5th.
Good, because the only thing that can't be negative is your exponent. So this one has to change. To change it, you're moving it to its opposite location, okay? Again, y to the 6th power does not need to be moved because nothing's wrong with it. It's positive already. It stays there, okay? The only thing that gets added to it is your x to the 5th. It's moved down here. And now that this is empty up here, the number that goes up here again when it's a blank space is the number 1, okay? Does that make sense? I hope so. All right, so we're going to put that in as our answer in our box right here. Again, you guys know that I'm lazy. Control C, Control V. I'm going to put a 1 here instead. I'm going to turn this into a Y because it's already a 6. And I'm going to make an X, and I need a superscript. So again, format, text, superscript. And now it's up there for me. I'm going to make a 5. Make that a little bigger. Okay. Again, this needs to be copied. Control C, Control V. I'm going to put it right here. Anybody have any questions yet? No? Okay. Our next one that we're doing is x to the negative 2nd and y to the negative 3rd. So I got x to the negative 2nd power and y to the negative 3rd power. So I just set up my fraction bar just so I can set it up so I can easily show you what we're doing. But in this case, both of them are negative, meaning this has to move and this right here has to move, okay? So in order to make this x positive, you're moving it down here. So it's going to be x to the 2nd power down here. And in order to make this y positive, you're going to move it up here. So now it's going to be y to the positive 3rd power. And that's your answer. Nothing more to it. Anyone confused yet? No? All right, you guys know I don't trust you. I'm going to pick on you anyways. All right, I'm going to add it in right now. So again, Control C, lazy man's way out. I'm going to drag this. I have my Y, format, text, superscript to the 3rd power. I have my X, the 2nd power. Oh, oops, did I accidentally drag it? Back up. take my fraction sign, Control C, Control V, and I'm going to drag in between these two. I'm going to make it a little bit skinnier because it's kind of crossing. It's kind of interfering. Alright, yeah, good enough. Alright, next one that we're working on, 1 over x to the negative 4. So I got 1 over x to the negative 4th power. Okay? So which one am I moving? What do I have to move? This negative sign has to change. So we're turning it to its opposite to make it positive. So you're left with x to the 4th power over 1. That's pretty redundant. You wouldn't really need that. We can just make it as x to the 4th because anything raised to the 1st power is just by itself. Okay? So right here, there's a text box. I want you to click X, Format, Text, Superscript, and it's raised to the 4th power. Same thing for the next one. I got 1 over z to the negative 3rd. I need to make it positive, so this has to be moved up here. So it looks like z to the positive 3rd over 1, which is pretty ridiculous, so you're just going to leave it as z to the 3rd. Okay? This is like saying 2 over 1 is the answer, but you guys know you never write that as the answer. You always say it's 2. So this is the same thing. Just because it has a variable and it's over 1, just leave it as the numerator, okay? Z to the 3rd power. So I'm going to write that right here. I have a z, format, text, superscript, 3rd right here. All right, and our last and final one is x, y, both of them, since it's enclosed in parentheses, is raised to the negative 2nd power. That means that it's always over the number 1. You need to make it positive, so you're changing this whole thing to its opposite, and you're bringing it down there. So the answer is 1 over, parentheses, x, y, raised to the positive 2 power. This is your answer. And that is what we're putting here. So we have 1. Oh, ew, that's ugly. I'm gonna use this one. I'm gonna copy this one because it has an x and a y in it. This one, I'm gonna drag it here. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna put a parentheses in between the 6, and I'm gonna change that 6 into a 2. I'm gonna take this fraction sign right here, Control C, Control V, and drag it right here. Oh wait, it's supposed to be a 2, not a 1. Alright, anybody have any questions? No. Alright, I'm gonna stop recording my screen. And